went to
So
its logical
why don't we
conclusion.
start there?
Yeah, let's start there and work
Start there,
backwards to
yeah.
a normal conversation.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Hi.
Very well.
So what's it like playing historical as opposed to contemporary?
Not so different on our show because we're not making an extra effort to be historical or stuff of your period.
Yeah.
But certainly there's something about the costumes, they're a little tight in the shoulders, a little bit. They don't move quite the way you might want clothes to move. It gives you a bit of a manly stance and gait.
Yeah.
It's fun.
I'm told to lead with the hips and point your thumbs outwards. And that's how you stand like a man and walk like a man. But I mean, in reality, you probably just look like the Fonz.
So you're not adapting it for your everyday walk anymore?
Well, I think people have commented that my real walk is sort of bendy. I can sort of lead out with my legs and later my head arrives.
I've often said that about
So I've had to learn to sit up straight, boy.
Is there a lot of research that went into roles? Not on my part so much. Historically, I don't exist. So, there's not a great deal for me to draw from. It's interesting to read up on the world, but again, we're doing kind of a fictionalized, fantastical version of it. So, the writers, I think, definitely draw a lot from history, but from my perspective, I haven't done a great deal of research into things. I kind of just go with what they write from.
Yeah, same with me. I mean, Francis in reality was a weak child who eventually just died of an ear infection. So the way that the CW is playing it is different. So I get my character from the script rather than from history. I went back and looked at it and went, well, that's not that, is it? So I read the scripts and go from there.
What did you think when you first got the script and the looseness of the interpretation of history, but still having grounded in some reality with it too? What did you guys think about that? What did you have to do to the role?
It was interesting. It was hard to imagine it, to be honest. It was hard to imagine. I don't think I really knew what we were going for. And tonally, it was a little bit. It was just odd. When we were shooting the pilot, we're like, well, I guess we'll see what we got. And then, it was a surprise to me, and I think to some other people when we saw it all put together. Like, oh, that's what we were making. That's really cool.
Yeah, I think it hits something that I don't know another show that does that. So there was for me there was a sort of adjustment period as we were making it, where you sort of realize what the show is actually focusing on and what its goals are, rather than something like the Tudors, which you worked on, and the Borgias, which is more historically, although still takes liberties, but is more historically accurate. I don't think that's not what this show is. And so there was some sort of like adjust your set sort of adjustment period where you go, this is the sort of show that we're making. So the pilot, I think there's been some development in like finding our feet and grounding what the show is and working it out for ourselves. Because the pilots are weird. Like you've got to put everything in them that could possibly happen. And once you get some sort of breathing room to make the show, I think it sort of comes into itself. Yeah.
It looks
and
like
it gets dark. It gets very dark.
It looks like there might be a little bit of a love triangle going on between your characters and Mary Queen of Scots. What's that? What are those relationships look like as the season progresses?
Well, we grew up together. We're very brotherly. We have each other's backs, and then Mary comes along, and then things get a little complicated.
Yeah, I'm duty-minded. I know that one day I'm going to have to rule a country, and so for me, Mary's arrival, I know that the engagement can be broken off at any time if other things arose that were more beneficial for different countries, and alliances don't necessarily hold, and we don't know when we're going to get married. So for me, I'm trying to sort of keep her at arm's length and not get emotionally involved with her. And so I think for her, Bash is probably a relief because he's a maverick. He has a little bit more fun than I do.
And neither of us really belongs at French court. It doesn't really. I don't really belong there. I'm there at by the good graces of my father, but I don't really have a position per se. And so I think she feels she can confide in me, and we have a bit of an easy relationship that way. It's so much easier than her relationship with him.
Yeah, I'm so annoyingly complicated. I can't just be simple and go.
You're very wishy-washy.
Hug me. It has to be complicated at all moments. But there is some bonding that will happen. But it's just going to be I love France, I love Berry, I love France, I love Berry. For a while. So like, go snap out of it, man. Get on with it, marry her. Eventually that will happen. Depending on whether we go with history or not.
So one of the shows is very serious and heavy. Do you guys find time to have fun?
We have quite a lot of fun. Yeah, we laugh a lot.
We've got a really, really good crew. We get on with everyone. For most of us moving to Toronto, none of us were local. I mean, there's a couple of people who lived in Toronto, but for the most part, we were all moving to a new city together. And we all live in like a 500-meter radius of each other. So, yeah.
We didn't even really mean to do that. We all just rented apartments, and they ended up being, within just a couple blocks of each other. Everybody. It was kind of amazing.
Yeah, we spend as much time together as possible.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's certainly, it's not a comedy, but sometimes though, just from time constraints, we're making this thing pretty quickly, given the scope of it.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you just sort of like, you really want to do a prank, and you're an hour 17 of your day.
You go, this could be funny, but we've really got to get the day. Always time for a prank.
Any prank in particular you'd like to tell? Are they all verboten?
They're all pretty much inside jokes that you had to be there. That's like every set, I think. It's just like you try and tell other people, like, and then he said this, and it doesn't mean anything. Yeah. Which isn't an interesting answer, but that's just the way. Because when you get into hours 16, 17,
there's a level of hysteria that just sort of arises where you hit your second wind and everything is funny and everything is weird.
Everybody's just, people are kind of sleepwalking and they've had too much coffee, and just, you get the giggles. There was a great one the other day where Alan, who plays the king, called you his husband.
Yeah, there's something about saying,
son.
and there's something about when you've been filming for a full day that can be very funny. We're working in like we're working as a whole unit. There's like 10 of us, and so trying to keep it together once one person is gone.
But just
like dominoes.
Just from the background, like you see him go up to Toby, and he like puts his hands like Mary will be wed to my husband, and like looks and very
like, all right,
doesn't
you
even
want,
realize he said it, and then he has this moment. Wait a minute. And then the giggles set in, and then you're done. Then you have to postpone for about 15 minutes while everybody gets it out of their system. It's good.
All right, guys, I think I have to pull these.